Thank you for joining us, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about how to negotiate the deal. Plus, we got a COVID-19 update, and we will not have the president on anymore. So, normal disclaimer stuff. Please take a second to.
Can you put your screen back up, Dan? Put your screen back up.
Oh, is it not up? I'm not sharing.
Yeah. I'm seeing you.
All right.
There we go.
All right. So thank you, everybody. This is like we have more problems with Zoom in the first 5 minutes of this than I had in like 2 years of using it. So anyway, our normal legal disclaimers are up here, and please, any investments, do your own due diligence, and just take a second or two to read through this. If you have any questions about it, you can pop a question in the chat. Without further ado, I'll let Sunil introduce himself for those of you who have not met him yet.
All right, Dan, thank you very much for getting us started off here. Again, sorry everybody for the technical difficulties, but let's see if we're over the hump on technical difficulties. Yeah, basically, I think a lot of you have gotten to know me over the last couple of months. I am a former emergency room doctor, so if you want, we can talk COVID-19 after the meeting, not right now. But I'm really an entrepreneur. I've started a number of successful companies. I've been active in the DC real estate market specifically since 2001, completed over 100 projects. There you can see my current companies that I run. They're all real estate related. Saxena Custom Homes is my home building company. The Saxena Company is all the commercial stuff I do, and Saxena Construction is a construction activity that I'm involved with. So that's me, and I'll turn it back over to Dan.
All right, thank you. Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I have been in real estate since 2011. Prior to that, I was a Navy nuclear engineer, and I did some work on submarines, the Pentagon, and then I was a defense contractor for a few years. I sold $22 million in my first year of real estate, which I later wrote a book about. And with Sunil and Keri and some other partners, I've been involved in over 300 homes that we've developed. Married to my amazing wife, Keri. I have 3 kids. She's right here with me. And I do Ironman and ultra marathon competitions, and I'm training for one for someday. I have no idea when the next one ever will be again, but I'll be ready. I'll let Keri chat now. She is right there.
Hey guys, I hope you are all having a wonderful night. I struggle when I can't see your faces, so I'll just tell you a quick overview about me and then look forward to connecting as we talk. Yeah, I like it so much better when I get to see everybody. So a little bit about me. I started my real estate career selling new homes and then transitioned into general brokerage kind of by accident, and ended up thinking I had a $50 million investor to do business with and being a traditional real estate agent. So over the last few years, we've grown a huge team and had a ton of success and really enjoyed growing even in the last few weeks. So I'm excited we get to talk about that tonight as well.
Yeah, I'll go back to the our slides here. All right, so a little bit about our team. For you real estate agents out there or people thinking about a career in it, we are the highest selling team in the DMV. We've sold over 400 million in the last year, in the last 12 months. This year, our goal is to get that to over $500 million. It'll be a little bit more of a challenge with what's going on, but we think we're well positioned still. We'll talk more about that later. If you do want to learn more about our team, you can go to kerishullcareers.com and find out more there. Now we're going to talk a little bit about 2 different projects that we are raising funds for. So the first one is a 10 unit. This is not the actual building itself, but I'll let Sunil talk a little bit about it. It is located just a block off of Wisconsin Street in Tinleytown. We've got a couple different spots left for people that want to invest. So I'll let Sunil chat just a little bit about what we're doing with the 4050 Chesapeake up in Tinleytown area.
Yeah, did you want to go over the investor highlights, or do you want me to go over this one and then the project itself?
I think this is our only slide about it, is we just wanted to keep it kind of brief and then let people contact us after if they had questions. So.
Okay, yeah, it's a project, 4050 Chesapeake. It's in the Tenleytown area, as Dan mentioned. We're taking an existing building, we're converting it to 10 condominium units. It's really one of my favorite projects because of, well, first of all, location. It's in one of the top, areas of DC. Those of you on the call definitely know the area very well. Near American University, it's less than a quarter mile from Metro. It's near a Whole Foods. I mean, pretty much every box you can check, the location checks that box. It's very close to Wisconsin, but it's off of Wisconsin, so it's kind of nice that you're kind of right there, but you're not like right on Wisconsin itself. We've got, like I said, 10 units. The top units will have rooftop decks, high-end finishes. I think one of the reasons I like it, because there's not a lot of inventory in that area, condo inventory. There's just not a lot to sell in that price range. So I think this project is going to do very, very well. And any further details, I think Dan will have a contact email or something on there as far as if you want more information, how to contact us.
Yeah, and I put the email in the chat. So if you're interested in that project or this one that I've pulled up, which Kevin, I think he is on. If you want to talk a little bit about this project that we're doing in Alexandria.
Yeah, hey everyone. It's really good to be here with you tonight. This project is located in Old Town Alexandria. I'm partnering with Dan and Keri on this project to bring this 10-unit condo to market in the spring of next year. This is also a 10-unit condo right in Old Town Alexandria. Fantastic location, about a block in from King Street, right where all the action is. And it has a lot of amenities to it that are going to be very attractive to buyers, such as in Old Town, parking is at a premium. This building has a parking lot to the right of it, so every unit will have parking. We have 5 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath units and 5 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath units, and we have 2 penthouses with 500 square foot roof decks with panoramic views of the Potomac, looking south, looking west, amazing sunsets and views, and then looking northeast to DC and monument views, great for fireworks. Excellent project, 14 to 18-month project. Closing is going to be in early May. It also has 2 retail spaces on the first floor. So there's a lot of amenities to this building. There's not a lot of product that's going to be coming out like this, which is a historical building, historical restoration and adaptive reuse. So that comes at a premium in Old Town. People, developers like to build new buildings that look and feel like this building, but we actually have the actual product. So we're going to bring this to market next year. You can visit it. You can check it out on the web. You can go to mvpequities.com and look at the project. You can contact Dan or myself. I'll put my email in the contact bar. And you can reach out to us and get some more information if you're interested in investing in the project.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, if you guys want more information, or set up a call with me or Sunil or Kevin, just email Dan at Live the Orange Line. I put it up in the chat. Be happy to talk more. Oh, we actually did have that one slide.
Yeah, I thought there was a slide coming on this.
Right. Got our order messed up a little bit. Yeah, some more information on the Chesapeake project in up in Georgetown that Sunil mentioned earlier. This one's closing soon, but we've got a couple equity positions left if people want. And there's a breakdown of the units here. You can see these are all, except for the IZ zone pricing, these are all in a good price range that we think will be pretty resilient for what we're going through right now. You just don't get a lot of 400 to 600K inventory in this location for new stuff. So if you guys got questions on either of these, just email me. It's in the chat or dan@livetheorangeline.com. For those of you who follow us on either YouTube or iTunes, we've been doing our show for our agent show for a little bit over a year, but earlier this year we started a different segment on the Hyperfast Agent YouTube channel and podcast called Hyperfast Wealth. So at least once a week we're talking strategy, doing interviews with other investors from all across the country. We break down some of our ongoing deals, so you can follow us at hyperfastwealth.com or just go to Hyperfast Agent YouTube channel. So COVID-19, Keri's going to talk a little bit about what our team has been seeing and what you guys should be thinking of as either agents or investors, because I know we got a mix of both on this channel. And if you have any specific questions on what you need to be thinking with COVID-19 going on, please put them in the chat window. We will definitely get to your questions.
Hey guys. So I guess the first thing I would say is our mindset has always been, what do we need to do to take care of our clients? And I think a lot of real estate agents just originally their reaction was, I'm going to go home and wait this out. And we all know at this point, we can't wait it out. And I was really happy to see the government deem us essential, because there are a lot of people that actually have to make a real estate move. And so for us, we immediately started adapting what we were doing from a marketing perspective, from a sales conversion perspective, to being virtual. And I think we were in a fortunate place where we were small enough to be able to pivot fast. There's some big brokerages that told everyone to go home, and that was kind of the end of the conversation. And I think they did that because of liability. And I understand everybody's concerned about safety and how to protect themselves, and we understand that, but there are clients out there that they still have to make a move. I can think of so many clients that I've helped over the years that they didn't have months to figure it out, and that exists in the market today. So that was our position. Hey, we're here and we will serve you and we will take care of you, and we will do it in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So we've sold some homes without people ever going inside. We've done everything virtually. We have one tenant that actually doesn't allow any showings, doesn't want anyone in the property, and he does a joint Zoom as the tenant with the listing agent, the buyer agent, and the potential client. So you can kind of see some of the results that Dan has here. 45 ratified contracts in the last 2 weeks. The first, I like to talk about this because the very first week when everyone was saying they had no sales, our team did 29 sales, which was a record. The first week that everyone was in isolation, we were really focused on taking care of our clients that needed to secure housing. And so our position has always been, how do we help? So I really want to open it up to questions. Can we go ahead and take away the share for a second? Because I think there's probably some of you out there that do have questions. Hi, Chris. So if any of you are feeling like, I'm not really sure how to navigate this, I have properties that are sitting and I don't know what else I should be doing, I just want to open it up to any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, any questions, you just put them in the chat, right, Dan? If any questions, just go and put them in the chat. Oh, there we go.
Website is down, I believe.
Which website is he talking about?
I'm not sure, but we'll make sure we get you the link. That would be very strange if one of the websites was down. We'll check it out. Thanks, Ricardo, for letting us know. You guys have to have questions. Come on, be brave. Ask what's in your heart. This is an opportunity to talk to people who are navigating the storm and have a lot of people.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're going to have to do it in the chat because it's too dangerous. We don't want to accidentally hear something we're not supposed to hear. What type of marketing or lead prospecting has proven to be most effective? Okay, thanks for asking. So the first thing that I would say is Dan and I's focus has been, how do we catch leads further upstream? We've been looking at that for a while because we were able to get our cost per lead down. And you guys may remember me talking about this a little bit last week, right? But during this crisis, our goal is to collect the motivated people who are right now buyers. So we've pivoted our strategy a little bit and focused on the sources that tend to be a little bit closer to buying. So some of that for us is Zillow, Realtor.com, the traditional sources. We find that people who are out looking at houses are the most serious about making a decision right now. So we've taken some of those leads that are less expensive and diverted some of the resources into the people who are right now. We've also done that from our ads for sellers. So we do those ads on Google and on Facebook, and we're still doing the home evaluation tool that we told you guys about. We've found that it's very effective. We're continuing to generate leads at a rapid pace, and our appointments have not gone down because we've pivoted to doing virtual appointments.
Another change we've made is we're starting to focus a little bit more on move up buyers and trying to create some ads and marketing around the need for a home office. And who knows how long this will last or what long-term changes will be, but I can see space at home being more of a premium, because I think regardless of how long this lasts, you'll probably see more people working at home on the other side of this because they were forced to do it for a month or two or however long this ends up being. So I think home office space could be a premium. So when you're thinking about condos, that 2 and den floor plan might make sense. Or if you're doing a flip and you can add a little bit of square footage, that might be more appealing than it was prior to this. So that's definitely a trend to look at, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that there's also this pent-up demand that's developing, where there's a lot of people in society that are like, you know what? Who knows what's going to happen in the world? I do know this. I don't want to be where I am right now, right? If you talk to people right now, there's a lot of people having that reaction. And so I believe when this is over, the pent-up demand is going to be so crazy that's going to propel us into an even faster paced market. And I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
What other questions do you? Go ahead, Snell.
I just agree with what you guys are saying too. I think that we were kind of forced to go through this period of working virtually and doing as much as we can virtually, but I think it's going to open people's eyes to how much you can do virtually, and it's going to be a long-term effect of people doing not everything that we're doing now virtually, but maybe another 10 or 20%. So I think while we're all sitting at home in our whatever, either regular home office or makeshift office, I think a large percentage of people are going to be like, wow, I can do this, even long term, and it works out better because there's no traffic, no this, no that. So I think there will be some definitely lasting effects and changes after we come out of this.
Sunil, I'm really glad you said that, because one of the things that I've been thinking as a real estate leader is, okay, the agents that think they can just wait and this will be over,
right?
It'll never be the same again. If that's
right.
in your head as an investor or an agent, it's just a bullshit thing. Because once the public has been exposed to what it's like to have a virtual listing appointment or a virtual buyer's appointment, when you ask them to come out in the future and not have to do it, like come meet with us in our office, they're going to be like, why would I do that?
Right.
So you have to adapt. You have to change the way you're doing business, because now consumers are working from home. Everyone knows how to use Zoom. For us that have been using Zoom for a long time, right? Dan too. Messing with you.
Despite
for those of us that have been using Zoom for a long time, we saw the influx of all of these people from around the country, around the world using Zoom. They're not going to forget how to do it, because it changes the way you have meetings, and it's so effective, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, you have to adapt. You have to change your process. You have to change your way of thinking about your business. And if you don't, you will be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. We're seeing, I know some of the stuff we were going to talk about is some construction updates and things like that. And certainly if you guys have more questions, please put them in there and we can kind of jump around here, because little bit of a free form, a little different than our normal meetings. But yeah, I think, from the, development, construction, investing standpoint, definitely, there's been an effect. You can't deny that there's no effect, but it really, in general, hasn't been that bad at all. I mean, we're still able to do construction. We're considered essential, so that hasn't really changed or stopped. All the agencies we work with, like DCRA in DC and the Arlington County, they're still doing stuff virtually. And interestingly, kind of the point that Keri and I were just talking about is, for example, like a small example is DC Water. They did, everything was paper. It was like the worst system where they would send you everything. You had to go down there, pick up the plans, manually change them, and then actually literally physically take them back down there. And they've shifted to virtual. So it's actually better for us now, because I just had some plans today and I just emailed, we made all the changes. We emailed it to her, to our contact there. She acknowledged it, said, hey, I'll get back to you within the normal time frame. So hopefully, A, that's actually better for us. Well, actually, I'm sorry. A, it hasn't stopped the process at all. In fact, it's maybe accelerated it. And B, hopefully that'll be some lasting change that some of these agencies will see that, we can do a lot of this stuff virtually, and we don't need people coming down and using paper, plans and all that stuff. So I think, what is that with me? I think, real estate as an industry that we're all in here is really, relatively coming through this pretty good. We're still able to build. We're still able to get our permits. We've still got great investment opportunities for those of you who are passive investors. We just showed you 2 of those right now. That's one of the things we as Grid Arlington, we're very committed to giving you guys some great passive, investment opportunities. And I think we're still doing that. We're still selling. We sold a condo unit. I don't think it was last Thursday. It was Thursday before. I've got 2 more units that are selling this Friday. So things are still selling. And, and we're still looking at deals. I was just at about 4 o'clock today. I was just looking at a deal for another project that we potentially might do. Banks are also, that they've probably been the most change we've seen is with the banks, because they're all focused on the new small business loans that are going out. But having said that, they're still working on our deals. So we're still, closing deals, buying properties. So again, everything is moving and it's happening. And I think, as Keri was also alluding to, is that you just have to go with, do what you can right now. That's the bottom line. Don't think of reasons why you can't do stuff or focus on things you can't do, but focus on what you can do. And when you do that, you'll see that there's a lot that you can actually be doing, especially in real estate at this time.
So, Sunil, we have a couple questions that just came up. Chris, I want to address your question first. There's a few steps I would take before I would go active on the market. I would do a virtual tour where you don't include the address, and I would look up all of the buyer agents and listing agents that have represented people in the neighborhood. And I would individually reach out to them and send them the virtual tour and find out if they have someone. Because right now is a time when there's a lot of buyers that just aren't finding what they want. And so you want to build momentum for your listing. I would not, it depends on the motivation of the client, but for me, I feel confident that virtually we could do a lot to get the home sold. So I wouldn't hold back on starting to market it if the client's motivated and they have somewhere they need to be. So feel free to ask other questions, but 3 things you can do to set the listing apart. Be more grassroots with it. Find out who's sold in the neighborhood. Find out people who are liking the listing if you go active, and be really aggressive in your follow-up. And then Madge report. It seems super simple. A lot of people were already doing that. We were already doing that, but it gives the people the ability to look like they're walking through the home. Very easy. We're doing live video, and we're also doing Facebook Lives. So we're just hammering that. The other thing that we've set up is a page that captures the information of the people before they see the virtual tour. We've done that because we realized, we're losing opportunities for people who would normally come to an open house, and we want to find the motivated people's information. So I would encourage you to set up something like that for your listing, so you're still able to find out who are the motivated people who might want to buy this. And a coming soon strategy, even though you have to be careful because you can't actually market the specific property address, there's a lot of people out there that are searching desperately right now. So you coming to their aid could put the deal together with either completely virtual or very few showings. So that's my thought on that. Anything you want to add?
No, I've got a thought on the next question about will there be a increase in foreclosures? I think it depends on how long this lasts, but I think probably not in the close-in markets. So like Arlington, most of Fairfax, DC, places where the homes are like 400 and up. I don't see it having much of an effect. I saw a stat from McKinsey that said incomes of 70K and above are only about 2.5% or so have lost their jobs in that price range, which in our market, most of the people are well above that threshold. So I think one of the sad trends, but good if you're in this median, home price or above, either as an agent or investor. One of the sad trends, depending on how you look at it, is the actions we're taking now are putting working class, lower class more at risk financially and health-wise, because most of the 70K and up jobs in the DMV area have all just shifted to work from home. Mm-hmm. And there's graphs on this too. And, most of the people in that salary range and up are working from home. Very few have lost their jobs. The people, 50K and below, they're either losing their jobs like restaurant, retail, or they are still working, like think Amazon distribution centers, grocery stores, all that kind of stuff. So I think most of the markets that we serve close into DC, you're probably not going to see a ton of foreclosures happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too, Dan. Exactly what you're saying is that going kind of that next question is that I've been trying to get out of the rental business because I really am more of a developer and I'm putting my assets and funds in there. But I still, having said that, I still have 4 renters, and there's, knock on wood, been no issue with rent because they all have jobs they're just shifted to teleworking. In fact, they ended up spending more time at home, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I think, yeah, exactly. I think if you're renting to folks, in that type of job, under, we're going to have a lot of issues, may have to, work with them to figure out some solution. But in our area, almost everybody we're renting to is 70K and above. And that's been my personal experience too, is that we've had no issues with they haven't even asked for any, rent, they even brought the topic up. So that, yeah, just want to echo, that's been my experience as well.
And Sunil, I think the question about the rental is, should I list it with the tenants in place? And in my mind, that's always a tough one, because if you have cooperative tenants and you're able to incentivize them to clean up and handle showings well and that kind of thing, that's one thing. And showings can be virtual, right? So if you have somebody who's willing to do a virtual tour and the tenant is cooperative, that could be a fantastic opportunity to not have vacancy, because it could take a little longer to sell right now. Right. So I would be the same strategy that I said a moment ago to Chris. I would be testing the coming soon market. I would be networking to find other agents who may have a client, and then educating the renters and creating some incentive for them if they can help it sell before it goes live on the market. If you had to put it live on the market, I would still do that. I would just make sure that it's clean, it presents well, all of the things you would normally do in any other market.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. All right. Any other questions, guys?
Listing a tenant occupied home.
I just talked about that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Private equity. Got someone on here that's still lending. That's good.
Nice. We love it. Nice work.
Yeah.
Chris might need some.
All right, I'm going off camera, you guys. See you soon.
All right, see ya. But
all right, so just to wrap up COVID-19, I think the big thing is to focus on the things you can control versus the things you cannot control. So you can control your mindset, how hard you work, the innovation you do, the adaptation you do, one of the things that helped us a lot was we immediately switched to Zoom for our new appointments, for our buyer, initial consults, our initial seller consults. We started doing virtual showings. We put out a training on how to do a virtual sales meeting. You can find it on the Hyperfast Agent YouTube channel. We made it available to everyone. It was actually the most watched video we've made this year. So it's beating out a lot of great interviewers that we've had on, or just because of the timing and how applicable it is. And question on those virtual showings, we're doing that by sometimes video, sometimes FaceTime live, which is really great because the client can kind of ask questions on the spot, and the agent can respond or show them the different things. So just continue to focus on your mindset and innovating and adapting. Don't focus on the virus, the media, the lockdown, shutdown, economy, all of that. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Sunil.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I couldn't agree with what you're saying more. I mean, really, my entire focus has been what I can do, right? I think a lot of people are focused on what they can't do. So it's just a matter of mindset. And I think there's a lot of things you can be doing now to prepare when everything gets opened back up. And if you're following the news at all, in the last couple of days, the focus has been more on opening. They're already starting to talk about opening. There's plans coming out this week from the federal level, as well as the regional governors are starting to talk about how to open things back up. So while I don't think, we're certainly not going to be 100% open by May 1st. I think around May 1st, you're going to start seeing some kind of gradual opening. So again, we can't predict whether this is going to be 2 or 3 more months of an effect, or it could be longer. But I think we're already starting to see some positive signs. And again, it's just focus on what you can do today and what you can do today to prepare for another, 30 to 60 days when we start seeing things, coming back online. This isn't like a, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year type of crisis. I think it will be measured in months. And that's where we need to just be prepared to come back. So that would be my biggest, advice, I guess.
All right, so time for the regularly scheduled topic. Identifying motivated sellers and how to negotiate the deal. So we'll talk a little bit about the grid curriculum here, as well as kind of my take on it, my experiences, and Sunil's over the years. So a motivated seller is going to be someone who has a financial reason or an emotional reason to sell a property for less than what the market could bear if the property was fixed up correctly, marketed correctly, and shown to the market. So in my mind, the normal way of getting maximum value is to have the property at highest and best use, in its best shape and condition, and get as many people there. Some sellers are not motivated by maximizing profit. There are some sellers that are motivated by something else in their life. They might want security of knowing they got a deal. They might want speed. They may just be emotionally done with the house. There's a ton of reasons, and that person's gonna accept less money than full market value. And there's nothing unethical or evil about it. In fact, I think those types of people, if you're a real estate agent that only has one solution, right? A lot of agents have one solution, and that solution is maximize profit, full marketing, and all that. But some people, that's not their primary motivation. So if that's not their primary motivation, that's all you can offer them. If you don't have another path as an agent or investor, you're not fully serving them. You are not solving their problem. All right, so circumstance and emotion. Those are the two biggest motivators for someone to take less than full market value. if they're motivated by circumstance, it could be a number of things. Common examples are the property is in terrible shape, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to put the time and effort to fix it. Maybe they don't have the finances to do that. There could be external pressure to get the deal done fast. It could be like financial, it could be divorce, death, a whole bunch of stuff. And it could be convenience. You see this a lot with the first time renters, right? So people buy a house, maybe they buy their next one, rent the previous one. It turns over once and they freak out because all of a sudden their investment portfolio went from 100% occupied to 0% occupied. And a lot of people will sell that first time. So that's actually a good strategy in itself, is to contact landlords when you see their house for rent or you see their leases come up. So number of different circumstances. Emotion, all right? A lot of times emotion can play a role in getting a good deal. So the seller may not have, again, they may not have the time and money. They might be embarrassed by the condition of the property. There can be a divorce or death can lead to it being an emotional reason as well. Maybe the tenant trashed the place. All sorts of things can just make them tired of dealing with it. Like it's, they don't want to spend any more emotional energy on it. Anything you might add to kind of circumstance or emotion, Sunil, from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think really my comments would be more a little bit about at a higher level, which involve, account for everything you've just said, is really just you kind of figure out what this person wants, like what's their motivation. In the prior slide, it talked about solving their problem. It's the same, you can use the same language, solving their problem or what's their motivation. And I'm still sort of, it's probably thousands of deals I've looked at and attempted to negotiate over my career. And I still work with agents, and it's amazing how they already make assumptions on what the other side wants. A great one is like closing time frame, for example. We always, Dan, you and I, we always try to get the longest closing time frame because that's less money out of our pocket, and we have more time to analyze a property, get plans done, things like that. And I've worked with agents where I'm like, oh, let's ask for 90 days. They're like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm like, I pushed them to ask for 90 days, and then all of a sudden, oh, so yeah, no problem. We'll do 90 days. So I think not assuming that like you said, everybody's motivated by money. Everybody's motivated by this. The key is, finding out what that person really is motivated by, whether it's emotion or circumstance or whatever it is. If you'll indulge me just for a sec, I'll tell you one story. I think this was like maybe 10 years ago. I went out to buy a brand new car, and or a car, not a brand new one. And it was interesting because I have 4 kids, and at the time they were very young. And I've always believed in like a Chevy Suburban. I think that's like the best, safest car for kids, in my opinion. So I had a Chevy Suburban. I was going to the airport, and as I was leaving for the airport, I looked at our old Suburban, and it just didn't look safe. The tires were worn. It just was beaten up. And at that moment, I said, as soon as I get back from this trip, I'm buying a new Suburban because I don't want my kids in this, what I felt was an unsafe car. So I got back, I went to the dealership, and I kind of identified one I already wanted. And I went to the dealership, and, typical car salesman, doing his thing, kind of half listening to me, half not. We're going for a test drive, and he's just, oh, hey, what do you do for a living? Just a standard nonsense. Not at all asking me, well, why do you want this car? And for him, if he would have just asked me that simple question, he very easily would have got out of me, it's safety. I just want my kids to be safe. And all he had to do is just kept telling me how safe a Suburban is, and I would have bought the car immediately. So it's just, if you're negotiating or trying to work with a person, it's just finding out what they're after. In that story I just told, I was just after safety for my kids. That's all I cared about in that. I didn't care about the fuel economy or the size of the engine or the towing capacity or all those other things that Suburbans are known for. I just cared about safety. So again, when you're looking to buy a property or sell a property, just see what is this person really after. And once you identify that, you just work with whatever you're given. So that's kind of what I think is at the heart of all negotiation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like it's about solving their problems, and the slides would make it think that it's like always negative, and sometimes it's not.
Mhm.
Sometimes they just want additional safety security, like Sunil mentioned. Sometimes it could be someone that wants to move up to a really awesome house, or
Right.
they just had kids or got married or whatever it is, right? So they need more room, and they need the house sold so that they can get that new house sooner.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
sometimes it's like an ego purchase, like you said. They don't really need a new house, but they just want a bigger, nicer house to show off to their friends. If that's what you've gotten out of them, work with that and tell them how awesome this house is and how awesome they're going to look in front of their friends and how cool parties they can have. It's whatever you're given, work with that. I think that's really the heart of all sales, essentially, in negotiation.
yeah, and if they're motivated by circumstance, they need the house sold. If they're motivated by emotion, it's going to be typically they want the house out of their life, whether it's they need it out of their life because it's a negative emotion or a positive emotion. They need it out of their life so they can buy their next place. But again, it all comes down to just finding out the why and the reason behind the reason. It may take questions to get to that, and then can you solve that problem? So
The other point before we move on to the fun topic is, yeah, again, I think the number one thing is just, again, figure out that why. What are they after? In my case, it was safety. The kind of example you gave, it was just maybe more an ego thing. They just wanted a bigger house to impress whoever, their friends, their parents, their ex-wife, whatever. The other thing I think is kind of see what position you're in once you're in the negotiation. And I think that's also helped me a lot in deals. We had one recently, it was kind of a complex deal where there wasn't a lot of options for the seller. He had to sell. I knew he was under stress financially, and he had a loan where it was like a hard money loan. So I knew he was bleeding every month and he wanted this deal done. And it wasn't like he had 12 options to go sell them to different people. So we were able to really, really kind of negotiate that down and really get a very, very good price, versus if you're in a situation where, you're buying a property, let's just say for $1 million, and the deal works at $1 million for you, but obviously you'd like to get it at 900. But if that person has options and they've got a bunch of people lined up the door to buy this deal, don't mess with it. Just take it at $1 million, try to get the deal under contract. So I think it's understanding what position the other person is in. That's another huge part of getting these deals done successfully. In the stuff we're talking about today is, let's say we're buying a house that has, three brothers and sisters, mom just died, they're all scattered across the United States. Again, figure out what position are they in. Are they willing to hold this property for long-term, or not long-term, but willing to hold it in order to get a better price? Or are they just like, look, I hate my brothers and sisters, I just want this thing sold, I don't get along with them, I just want this thing done. Then you can step in probably and get a lower price as long as you can execute quick and solve their problem. So again, I don't know if that makes sense, but the best way I can say is just kind of what position is the other side in. Once you know that and you get a feel of it, then you can act accordingly. You can be more aggressive if you think you've got some leverage. If you don't, then you got to kind of, go with what you got.
yeah, I agree. We're gonna get a little bit to that now on how to find out what their motivations are, what their timing is. So last time or two meetings ago, we talked a lot about marketing and lead gen. So when someone calls and responds to your marketing or your prospecting, first you got to be friendly, but you still want to establish yourself as the expert. And this is the same thing we teach our listing agents on the team, by the way, is a lot of people just focus on rapport, building rapport, but you want these people to like you, but you want to be seen as the authority on getting that home sold or solving their problem, not a friend, right? So although being on friendly terms is great. If you're just a friend and not an authoritative person, you know, an authority figure, an expert in their mind, you're not going to have the confidence from them, or they're not going to have the confidence in you to get the deal done. So you got to be friendly, but authoritative, and it's really all about determining motivation, right? Determine their timing and their motivation. So how do you do that? You ask open-ended questions. You know, how did you hear about us? Why did you call? Why are you selling? You know, have you been talking to other agents? You know, what's the condition of the house? What needs to be done to get it sold? You know, you can ask about the mortgage, the liens, that kind of stuff. When do you need to sell? Or in the ideal, you know, ask them, like, in the perfect world, when would you close on this house with a buyer? If everything was perfect, right? And then tell them, ask them about price. You have to ask about you know, what they think the market value is, or the value they want, right? So you know, ask them up front, like, how much do you think, you know, your house would sell for, or how much do you want to get? Don't shy away from the price question. I know some people feel awkward about it. There's a number of different ways you can ask that if you feel uncomfortable, but you know, one way is to say, look, most people that call us have a number in mind, and it helps to and it helps us to find the right solution when we know what number you need. Because depending on that number, by the way, like if their number is like 100% of market value, then you need to be prepared to list the home for them if they're an agent, or refer it to an agent if you're not one. So, you know, that question is going to determine your approach. If it's, you know, if they need like 85%, maybe it's a quick flip. If they need 65, 70%, maybe it's something that's a build, a bigger remodel. So you need to find out what that is. You can ask, you know, kind of how it says here. Another good way is to say, in a perfect world, when would you close and what would the number be? Like, that's just a great way to kind of start it off, and let them set that parameter to begin with.
Yeah, I think, Dan, I mean, to me, the biggest thing is literally just ask. Just ask a simple, open-ended question. You'd be surprised how many people won't ask. Again, like the car dealer that I was dealing with that day didn't even ask. You know, so you know, Sunil, or so Mr. Sachs, you know, why are you buying this car? What's your reasoning? That simple question, I would have been like, I would have told him my whole story. I remember, you know, another house, we sold a brand new house. It was, I think, 2-3 years ago now. And I wasn't involved with the sales transaction, but I met the buyer just before he closed. And his motivation was, he even told me without even asking. He was living in a small Rambler, you know, those small Ramblers we have in Arlington. And him and his wife were both professionals making good money. And they had 6 children. And they were just dying to get into a big house that actually had room. And, you know, if I was involved with the sales process earlier, if I would just ask him, you know, what's the reason for your purchase? He would have immediately told me that. And all I would have talked about is, oh my God, you know, look how big this house is. Look how big these rooms are. Look at all, you know, you can have an extra bedroom for your office, for your hobbies, for your gym. You have a home theater here. So you just play up to, once you know their motivation, you just play up to that card, you know. And it's really as simple as asking. I'd say maybe less than 5% of people that you interact with are going to be so guarded that they just aren't going to answer a question. But 95% plus people, if you just say, hey, you know, why are you selling, or what's, you know, simple open-ended question, they're going to open up and tell you they're probably more than you ever want to know their whole life story.
And DJ's got a great comment here about reminding them of their pain, their motivation, whatever problem they're trying to solve. And this is why up front you want to understand timing and motivation, because when you get to the end and you're ready to set an appointment, or you're ready to make an offer, you want to tie it back to that pain that you're going to solve, either moving them away from pain or moving them towards pleasure. It's going to be one of those two things, like, away from pain is going to be out of a bad financial situation or emotionally bad situation. Towards pleasure would be helping them move up, retire, move somewhere else, right? So you need to remind them of that motivation when you get to the offer phase, appointment setting phase.
Absolutely.
All right. So if their number works for you as an investor, you're gonna want to make an offer. If it doesn't, if it's too high, you're either gonna want to list it, as an agent, or refer it to someone that can. If it is an offer, you want to move fast. Like, if you have a good deal, you don't want to sit on it. So hopefully you've got standard offer forms available. You want to start right away. A good rule of thumb for an investor is you want the price to have enough margin to make sense. We currently shoot for 25% margin, which typically is going to mean 70% of ARV minus the cost of renovation, because there's always going to be other costs that we want to buffer. So 70% of the after renovation value minus the cost is a good rule of thumb. Another key point when you're negotiating is when you make an offer, and this is true whether it's like making an offer to buy a place, making an offer to represent someone as a buyer or seller, like if you're an agent. When you ask the question, your closing question, shut up after you ask it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will break silence because it's awkward. So that's why you see that line in there, next one to speak loses. A lot of times if you ask someone a question and they're kind of on the fence and you just sit there and shut up, they're gonna say the answer you want just to break the silence. Very, very weird, but true thing. So be comfortable with the silence after you ask your closing question. And if the number that they give you is close to what you think might work, you need to make an appointment to give yourself a chance to wrap up the deal. And last point, like I've mentioned before, if the number doesn't work for you, see if it would work for a different investor. See if it would work for listing it or referring it to an agent. Anything else you'd add on that offer phase, setting the appointment phase, Sunil?
Yeah, it's a discipline of saying, look, I'm going to, this number is my max number that works for me, right? And not, again, that example I gave, hey, if I buy this property $1 million, it makes money for me. It's a good deal for me. If that guy bought it for $300,000, he's making $700,000 on it. You don't need to sit there and say, well, I'm going to try to get it for 900 if he's got a line out the door of people that want it. Just take the deal, move on, make money. And versus if the deal just doesn't make sense for you at $1 million, then just don't do the deal. Just move on and do something else. So I think it's kind of knowing what your offer is, being pretty certain that this is my kind of max number or the number I'm willing to pay based on the circumstances, and kind of sticking to it. I think that's, and having that confidence, say, look, this is the number. A lot of times you'll get deals just because you're, like you're saying, being authoritative and saying, this is kind of what I can do. So yeah, that'd be my biggest advice there.
Yeah, and another great point by DJ here. When you do set the appointment, make sure all the decision makers are there. If there's two people that are gonna need to sign off, or multiple if it's an estate kind of deal, you got to make sure everybody is there, because the last thing you want is to get a deal with that one person says they'll take, and then they go back to their spouse or whoever it is, and all of a sudden you don't have a deal. And make sure that they have the authority to sign for the deal too. So this is going to be more common if it's like an estate sale or something like that, but you just want to make sure that they actually are able to sign a contract with you. So when you're at the house, you want to reaffirm the questions you discussed on the phone. Inspect the home more, especially if it's going to be like a renovation or flip. If you're just going to tear it down, it's not going to matter as much, but you want to ask them questions about the home, how long certain problems have existed, and then make your offer. And the best offers in this situation are typically going to be no contingencies, no repairs, quick closing, all of that kind of stuff. No financing contingency. Have the contract with you ready to go. Have a lockbox available so you can get access. Have your contractors start looking at it during the inspection period if you have any, or prior to closing. And if you are potentially going to wholesale it or have other partners, explain to them that you might have another partner at the closing and not you. So make sure they know that up front. Seller psychology. I kind of like this point too, that the negative selling where you get them to really show that they are motivated by kind of giving them options other than a quick sale. So if you tell them like, hey, this looks like a nice house, or if you're on the phone, this sounds like a really great house, like, why do you want to sell it? Why do you want to get rid of it quickly? Like, ask questions like that are going to be disarming and help them put their guard down, help them open up. If you suspect that they might be holding back. So that this is a great way, a great technique to get them to sell you on why you should buy the house from them. Anything else that you want to add, Sunil?
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's again, it's sales, basic sales techniques where I think anybody who's on the Zoom call here, if they've been experienced in sales for a while and they've been successful at it, not just experienced, but successful at it, they understand that, a lot of sales is just reading psychology, reading people. So you can tell right away if, the motivation level of a person just when you start to talk to them. If they immediately try to start selling you on the house, then you almost have to take a position like, oh boy, I don't know. You become the kind of decision maker, like, oh boy, I don't know. There's a lot of repairs. It's going to cost a lot of money. And all they're going to do is keep trying to sell you. And that's where you're going to get a price advantage when time comes to discuss the price, versus if they've, if you ask questions. One thing, I used to have a painting company when I very first started in real estate. And we used to go into people's houses and sell them, painting services. And we'd always try to establish, without kind of overtly asking, like, oh, have you gotten other bids? And we know right away if they've gotten, oh yeah, we've have 3 other guys in here to give bids. We already know that now we're competing really, because they need the paint work done, right? So in this case, they need to sell the house. So are you competing against other buyers, or are you just really competing with something else, right? So it's just establishing their psychology and where they're coming from. And, if they, have 3 other bids, then we're basically really focused on why we're a better painting company than everybody else out there. That's what we focus our presentation on. Versus if they said, oh no, we've heard you're good and we just want to get a bid from you, then we more focus on our bid and our process and our paint quality and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I would say, the word psychology is probably the most important word on this slide. Is really, if you want to be good at this, and there's certain people that get really good at this and seem to always close deals. There's certain people that just can't seem to ever close a deal. And I think the difference really is people who can read other people and really understand psychology and, work with what you're given, understand where you're at in the negotiation, and then be able to react in real time accordingly. So yeah, I think that's a very important part of this is the psychology.
Yeah, I agree. That's why, we tried to stick away from like teaching a certain script or anything like that. I think there are some techniques, but it's more about the overall strategy of, and kind of just asking the right questions to understand their motivation, their timing, and then how do I solve that problem for them?
Right, exactly.
And having as many potential solutions in your pocket as possible, because everyone is going to have a different problem.
Yep.
So, but before we kind of wrap up negotiating the deal, or how to work with sellers, if you guys have questions about that, please put them in the chat. In the next couple minutes, we are gonna experiment with breakout rooms. I don't know if anyone's used this feature in Zoom, but we're gonna just randomly create, I think, rooms of like 6 or 5, and just give you guys a few minutes, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes to network in a smaller group with like 5 or 6 other people, and that should be enough time for everyone to introduce themselves and kind of tell, if they're an investor, an agent, flipper, wholesaler, bank, and just kind of maybe share what you've been doing in the last 30 days with your business, and what kind of help you could use. So we will break up into some breakout rooms in just 2 minutes, but I'll give you guys another minute or two while I'm setting that up to just pop any questions you have about working with sellers in this market before we do that. And then after we do that, we'll come back to wrap up just for a few minutes. So don't go anywhere. After, once we go to the breakout rooms, we'll all come back as well. But next meeting is going to be, I believe it's May.
It is May. I'll tell you right now.
May 12th.
May 12th. Yeah. Hopefully we will be live. Hope to see everybody in person.
Yeah, hopefully live. If not, we'll do this format again or a variation of it. So RSVP to that, regardless of if it's virtual or in person. Obviously, hopefully you connected some through the breakout rooms. If you want to look at any of the deals we presented in more detail, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat again in case you guys missed that. So that's there. Hopefully you'll see us next month. Yeah, a little bit of an echo there, but hopefully you'll see us next month. Please go to hyperfastpodcast.com or check us out on my Hyperfast Agent YouTube channel. We've been interviewing more investors and people in the DMV area, and so you'll get tips on what they're doing to react to all of this. So check out the podcast show either on iTunes or on YouTube. Okay. I think that is
auctioneer is.
all right.
All right.
Yeah, one other suggestion I guess I saw here in the chat, which is a good idea. Other meetups I've participated in, we did 3 or 4 rounds of networking. So if you guys like that format in the breakout rooms, we can do that a couple times on the next meeting if we're still virtual. Maybe once or twice in the beginning, and then again at the end, just to give people a little bit more chance to meet more people virtually.
Yeah, we might be able to do the beginning like we normally do, and then just do like 10 or 15 minutes of that or something before we start.
I like that beach background that
Yeah, do you like my ghost son popping in?
Yeah, that's pretty funny, Barry. But great suggestion, by the way, on adding more rounds of networking. We kind of wanted to test it out for the first time, make sure it worked and people liked it. So we'll do that more because I enjoyed it as well. Just the small group I was in. So
Yeah. All right. Very good.
all right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All
Thank
right.
you. Be safe, everyone.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll see you.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. If you want to see more videos like this, click right here. And if you want 10 tips from Sunil and I on how we've built wealth through real estate, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to the channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And let me know in the comments what you think about the videos. I read them weekly and I pick winners at random. And I give out stuff like hats, shirts, coaching calls with me, and tickets to some of our events. I'll see you next time.